The captain of the Ravenclaw stared at the human ship and laughed so hard he choked on his own spines. They're flying a cargo hauler with no visible weapons. This will be like stealing glow pods from hatchlings. The rest of the crew shared his amusement. The sleek alien vessel, bristling with weapons and shielding tech, bore down on the lumbering Terran ship. It was a relic by galactic standards, with its boxy hull and sluggish movement, drifting near the edge of an asteroid belt, a prime target for pirates. It was a strange display of hubris, or perhaps naivety. Deathworlders were supposed to be terrifying, yet this was just pathetic. The pirate crew were Vron, a species renowned across the galaxy for their ruthless cunning and technological superiority. To them, humans were a mix of myth and exaggeration, savage creatures that tamed death worlds, but had yet to prove their mettle in true interstellar combat. Stories abounded of their irrational recklessness and their bizarre habit of protecting weaker species, but no one took such tales seriously. The Vron knew better, and today, the Vron would strip this Terran ship bare and add another victory to their list. "Open a channel," growled the captain, his spines still twitching with amusement. "Let's give them a chance to surrender before we blow their ugly craft into scrap." The communications officer tapped a series of keys, and a hologram flickered to life. The image of a human appeared, sitting in what looked like a cramped cockpit. He was eating a sandwich. "Greetings, unarmed Terran," the captain began, his voice dripping with mockery. "I am Captain Zra of the Ravenclaw. Your ship is surrounded. Surrender immediately, and we may allow your crew to live as servants." The human, a bald man with a scruffy beard, didn't even flinch. He chewed his sandwich, swallowed, and tilted his head. "Servants? Nah, we're good, thanks." The captain blinked. "Excuse me? I said we're good. Not interested. But hey, thanks for the offer. Real generous of you." The bridge of the Ravenclaw erupted into laughter. Zra waved a hand, silencing his crew. "Do you have any idea who you're dealing with, Terran? We are Vron pirates. We have destroyed warships, annihilated colonies, and plundered treasures from a dozen systems. Your defiance is amusing, but also foolish. We could obliterate your pathetic vessel with a single volley." The human leaned closer to the camera, his expression shifting slightly. Not quite a smile, but close enough to make the Vron pause. "A single volley, huh? That's cute. But, if you're done with the dramatic monologue, I'd suggest you rethink this whole boarding thing. We're not exactly a typical cargo hauler." Zra sneered. "Spare me your empty bravado. You've sealed your fate. Prepare to be boarded." The hologram blinked out, and the pirate captain barked orders. "Target their engines. Disable their ship. I want them dead or crawling." The Ravenclaw unleashed a salvo of precision plasma fire. Bright bolts of energy tore through the void, connecting with the Terran ship's aft section. For a moment, silence reigned as the Vron awaited the explosion that would render the humans helpless. It never came. "Sir," one of the weapons officers said, his tone wavering. "Direct hits on their engines. No critical damage detected. They're still operational." "Impossible," Zra snapped. "Fire again. Full spread." Another volley screamed toward the Terran vessel. This time, the impacts created shimmering distortions along the ship's hull. Yet, once again it remained unscathed. If anything, it appeared to be moving faster now, angling itself toward the pirate vessel. "Report," the captain demanded. "Unknown defensive system, sir. Some kind of advanced reinforcement plating or shielding. Our weapons aren't penetrating." The Vron crew began to shift uncomfortably, a strange silence settling over the bridge. The Terran ship was now closing the gap between them, its bulky frame unervingly deliberate. "Should we fire again, Captain?" the weapons officer asked. Before Zra could respond, the human ship transmitted a new signal. This time, the hologram that appeared was different. Instead of the scruffy pilot, it was a view from within the Terran ship. The camera panned across rows of heavy metal crates, each marked with warnings, in multiple languages. Hazard symbols dominated the labels. Biohazard, radiation, high explosive. The human's voice crackled through the speakers. Thought you should know what you're dealing with. See, our cargo isn't exactly standard. We're hauling surplus ordnance, old Terran stuff, kinda unstable. And since you're firing at us, well, let's just say we've got a real fireworks show ready if things go sideways. Zra's spines bristled. He's bluffing? The human laughed, a short, sharp sound. Yeah? Wanna test that theory? Just know, if one of these crates goes up, everything within a few thousand kilometers will too. Including your ship. The crew of the Reaving Claw froze. Vron were no strangers to risk, but they knew better than to play with unstable weaponry. The threat was believable enough to give even the most hardened pirate pause. Sir, the first officer whispered. If they're telling the truth. They're not, Zra growled, but the certainty in his voice faltered. His eyes narrowed at the display, searching for any sign of deceit. The humans were known for their unpredictability, and this one seemed entirely too calm. The Terran ship continued its slow approach, now within visual range. Its hull gleamed faintly, revealing markings that had been obscured by the distance. They weren't just hauling weapons. This was a retired Terran Navy vessel. Captain, the tactical officer said, his voice low and anxious. I'm detecting active targeting systems. They've locked onto us. Zra's blood ran cold. That's impossible. Their weapons are hidden? Apparently not. The human's voice returned, casual and infuriatingly confident. So here's the deal. You've got about 30 seconds to turn tail and leave before we stop playing nice. Trust me, you don't want to see what this thing can do. I mean, we're just a cargo hauler, right? The crew of the Reaving Claw stared at their captain, waiting for his orders. For the first time, Zra felt doubt creeping in. Something about the human's demeanor, the absurdity of their situation. It didn't add up. Humans weren't supposed to be this bold or this dangerous. Yet here they were, outmaneuvering one of the most feared ships in the galaxy with nothing more than a repurposed freighter and a lot of nerve. He clenched his claws, his mind racing. They couldn't afford to retreat, but they also couldn't afford to die. Stand down, Zra growled, his voice low and reluctant. Pull back and regroup. We'll assess the situation from a safe distance. The crew exchanged uncertain glances, but obeyed. The Reaving Claw began to reverse, its weapons powering down as it created distance from the Terran vessel. Zra's spines trembled with suppressed fury. This wasn't over. The Vron didn't retreat, they were hunters, not prey. But something about this encounter demanded caution, no matter how much it stung his pride. As the human ship loomed larger on their view screen, a single nagging thought clawed at the edges of his mind. What kind of cargo hauler fights like that? Their faces obscured by reflective visors. They moved with unnerving precision, their heavy boots clanging against the deck. Each carried a weapon unlike anything the Vron had seen, sleek, compact, and emanating a faint hum of energy. Hold your fire, Zra commanded through gritted teeth, his claws gripping the console as he monitored the feeds. Let them come closer. Make every shot count. The humans didn't rush. They advanced slowly, methodically, as if they had all the time in the galaxy. It was infuriating. Vron warriors were accustomed to charging into battle, overwhelming their enemies with sheer ferocity. But this was something else entirely. Suddenly, one of the humans raised a hand. A small sphere, no larger than a clenched claw, flew through the air, bouncing once before coming to rest at the feet of the waiting Vron. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then, with a blinding flash and a deafening roar, the corridor was engulfed in light and sound. The warriors staggered, their senses overwhelmed. Some dropped their weapons, clutching at their heads as the disorienting noise filled their ears. Before they could recover, the humans surged forward. What followed was not a battle, but a massacre. Zra watched in horror as his warriors were dispatched with ruthless efficiency. The humans moved as one, covering each other with fluid precision. They didn't waste energy, didn't hesitate. Every shot found its mark, every move was calculated. Plasma bolts from the Vron rifles fizzled harmlessly against their armor, absorbed by the strange, shimmering fields that surrounded them. "Captain," the first officer's voice broke through the chaos. "We've lost control of Deck 3. They're advancing toward engineering. Seal the bulkheads." Zra snarled. "Cut them off." "It's no use, sir," the tactical officer said, his scales dull with despair. "They're bypassing our systems. Every time we lock a door, they override it within seconds." "How?" Zra demanded. "Our systems are some of the most advanced in the galaxy." The tactical officer shook his head. "They must have studied our technology, or they're improvising. Either way, they're inside our network." Zra's spines bristled with rage. Improvising. That word again. It was the hallmark of the Deathworlders, the trait that made them so infuriatingly unpredictable. He had underestimated them. And now, his ship was paying the price.